Ordinary meeting of Council, Wednesday, 7 May 2025. If we get Councillor Berry to open us up with a prayer, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Almighty God, be with us as we work for the people of the Shire of Mirrabul. Grant us wisdom that we may care for the Shire as true stewards of your creation. May we be aware of the great responsibilities placed upon us. Help us to be just in all our dealings, and may our work prosper for the good of all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councillor Berry. Now, Councillor Minari, could you do the acknowledgement of country, please?
I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and the Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today.
Thank you. It needs to be noted that the meeting will be recorded, and we've granted permission to both the Mirrabul News and the Star Weekly to make those recordings. Mr CEO, everybody is present with no apologies. Could I get someone to confirm the minutes from the last meeting, please? Thank you, Councillor Minari. Thank you, Councillor Keogh. Seconded. Those in favour? So carried. At this point, I'll ask, has anyone got a disclosure of a conflict of interest in anything on tonight's agenda? No? Thank you. Public question time. We've got no speakers tonight for public question time. No. Any petitions? Nil. We'll move straight into officer reports. 11.1, 2021 to 25 Mirrabul Shire Council Plan. The progress report for the third quarter, January to March 2025. Councillors.
I'm happy to move it, Mr Mayor, but I do have a couple of questions, if I may.
Councillor Wood moves, and if you'd like to ask a question, please.
Yep, thank you. On page 5 of the attachments, it mentions the Rec and Leisure strategy will be presented to Council in March 2025 for adoption. If we could just get an update from Lee on the status of that, please.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. Through the Chair, at the preparation of this particular report, there were some changes to the Rec and Leisure strategy, so I have moved that forward to another briefing, future briefing.
Thank you.
Second question.
Yep. On page 8, it mentions develop an integrated transport plan for growth areas. At a recent residents' meeting at Hopeton Park, they did express a desire to be included in the integrated transport plan. I'm just wondering, it's probably a question for Mr Jeffries, if Hopeton Park has been considered as part of that plan, please.
Mr Jeffrey.
Through you, Mr Mayor, this specific action this year, we're concentrating on Ballan Township, and we're currently preparing an integrated transport plan for Ballan. I guess as part of the Hopeton Park development plan, there was also some transport considerations as part of that proposal, and that'll run through the normal council process as well.
Thank you. Final question, if I may.
Yes.
On page 23, it talks about the development of an investment attraction prospectus. Obviously, over the last 1 or 2 years, the cost of living has been the biggest talking point. The recent tariffs has made for economic uncertainty, and recent military action that's taken place over the last 24 hours all creates economic uncertainty. So our investment attraction prospectus is quite important to Mirrabul, and I'm just wondering if I can get an update, please, on the status of that, Mr Mayor.
Yes. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, we have been working through the development of that strategy with a large number of workshops taking place in March. The feedback from those workshops and engagements currently being collated to formulate the final draft, which will come to Council, and I can schedule that through.
Thank you. Councillors,
I would second it with a question. Councillor Wood's moved the motion. I would second it, if I may. On page 10 of the attachments, there's a red traffic light, and that relates to investigate opportunities to support volunteerism, and the rest is cut off from my paper. But anyway, the thing is, it's something I'd like to we don't drop the ball on, that's all, because I think it's very, very important. So I'd just like to make sure, is there some reason why that has halted or not? Thank you.
Who'd like to take the lead? Thank you.
Through the chair, I wouldn't suggest that supporting volunteerism in the Shire has halted. We are working with volunteers in a range of ways on a daily basis. There is some work happening in relation to a future strategy which will formulate how we resource volunteerism in a more structured way.
Councillor Sullivan.
Just a minute. I think we just need supporting the volunteers is very admirable, but we want to actually encourage people to become more involved in it. I think so. I think that maybe two distinct themes, and I think probably that to encourage more people to get involved is where I'd like to sort of focus our energies, because the current volunteer base is getting tired and older, and you know, I don't know, a few years' time they probably won't have any if we keep going down this road. So anyway, thank you.
I'll take that as a statement, Councillor Sullivan. Yes. So we moved and seconded. Councillor Ward moved it. Councillor Sullivan seconded. Any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. We'll move on to 11.2, which is the 2017 to 2021 Mirrabul Shire Council Plan Outstanding Actions Progress Report, quarter third, January-March to 2025. Thank you, Councillor Ward. You've got a question as well? Yeah. Moved by Councillor Ward with a question.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My question relates to page 32. The community engagement policy was adopted at a special meeting at Council back in 24th of February 2021. I note since then that the Victorian Local Government Act has changed, and it does require for councils to undertake deliberative engagement as part of its community engagement policy. So I'm just wondering, and I don't know who this is a question for, Mr Mayor, maybe for the CEO, are we going to be revisiting our community engagement policy in line with that change?
Mr CEO.
Through the chair, so any changes to legislation will have to be incorporated in our documentation. I suppose some of the confusion exists around the term deliberative engagement, and that needs to be clarified with the government.
Any other questions? No. We're moved by Councillor Ward. Do we have a second? Councillor Berry, thank you. Any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Okay, we'll move into community planning and development. Item 12.1, Planning Scheme Amendment C115, Mirrabul Retail Strategy Authorisation. There's a recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Ward. Is there any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. We'll move on to 12.2. We have some speakers to this item. And the first speaker we have is Marcus Rutherland. Is here? Yes. Mr. Rutherland, you've got 3 minutes and a bit of latitude, so, and then we'll ask you some questions if they want.
My name's Marcus Rubin. I live at 18 Lion Place.
Just turn your button on there. We'd hate to miss something.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So, Marcus Rubin. I'm from 18 Lion Place, Balan. I'd like to thank everyone for allowing me the opportunity to address you today. I stand before you not just as an individual, but a voice for many in our small town who are concerned about the proposed developments that threaten the shape of our communities in ways we can't afford to ignore. Our town is not just a collection of buildings and roads, it's a tapestry woven with history, culture and a sense of belonging. Today I want to bring to your attention several critical issues that arise from the proposed developments. First and foremost, we must consider implications of public safety. Our town currently lacks 24-hour police presence. Many of us feel a sense of security knowing our local law enforcement is just round the corner, but the reality is we're often left vulnerable, particularly in the absence of full-time police. The introduction of new developments will inevitably lead to an increase in population density and with that an increase in crime rates. History has shown us that as communities grow without adequate policing, the fabric of safety begins to fray. Furthermore, our town does not have full-time firefighters to respond to emergencies promptly. In times of crisis, every second counts. The proposed developments will not only stretch our already limited emergency services, but may also place lives at risk. It's imperative that we prioritise the safety of our residents over the short-term economic gains that development might promise. When considering medical facilities, we find ourselves at a crossroads. Our existing healthcare infrastructure is limited, and the addition of more residents will only exacerbate the strain on our local clinics. It's crucial to remember that access to quality healthcare is a fundamental right. Without expanding our medical facilities, we risk leaving our community vulnerable to health crises that can go unchecked. The increase in traffic that will accompany new developments can't be understated. Our roads are already congested during peak times, and the introduction of more vehicles will lead to longer commute times and heightened frustration. We must ask ourselves, what kind of quality of life do we envision for our residents? A town where children cannot safely ride their bikes, or where parents dread the school run due to traffic jams, is not a vision we should accept. Speaking of schools, it's disheartening to note that our primary schools are already nearly at capacity, and the absence of a high school within our town forces families to seek educational opportunities elsewhere. The proposed developments will only lead to greater pressure on our education system, leaving our children without the resources they need to thrive. The environmental implications of these developments are equally troubling. As we pave over green spaces to make room for crowded townhouse ghettos, we risk irreversible damage to our local ecosystem. The beauty of our town lies in its natural surroundings, which provide not just aesthetic pleasure, but also vital habitats for local wildlife. We must ask ourselves, what kind of legacy do we want to leave for future generations? Moreover, the additional pressure on the Werribee River with increased stormwater discharge raises serious concerns about water quality and environmental sustainability. Our river is a vital natural resource and we have a responsibility to protect it. The introduction of more runoff into an already stressed waterway will only compound the issues of pollution and degradation that we are currently facing. Culturally, the development of high-density housing threatens the unique character of our community. Our town is a reflection of its residents, and the charm that draws people to live here is at risk of being overshadowed by ugly, overcrowded structures that don't fit our community's identity. We must stand firm in preserving the cultural heritage that defines us, rather than succumbing to the pressures of the development that don't align with our values. In conclusion, I urge you, the Council, to consider the long-term impacts of these proposed developments on our community. Our concerns are not just about economic growth, they're about preserving the quality of life we've all come to cherish. Let us prioritise safety, health, education and environmental stewardship over short-term gains. Together we can advocate for a vision of our town that respects our past while safeguarding our future. Thank you for your attention, and I hope we can work together to protect our small town.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Any questions, councillors? No? Yes, Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Marcus. You can see that obviously you care deeply for your town, so well done on coming tonight. Were you, Marcus, were you, did you put in any submissions when the Bland Strategic Directions Plan went out for consultation and was adopted in 2017 and 2018?
No, I didn't.
No, okay. Because obviously that document was critical as part of the consideration of the future growth of Bland, and it identified how Bland would grow and where it would grow. So, no, you've answered my question. Thank you.
Yeah, obviously, well, I was aware of the document and I've seen it, but yeah.
Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Berry?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I have a question for officers.
Yes.
Thank you. Is Precinct 5 in Bland classed as, what they're proposing, classed as high density build?
Mr Bazoo.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll hand over to Kate Barkley.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Through the chair, Councillor Berry, the overall density wouldn't be referred to as high. If we're talking about conventional residential, it would be a a density akin to probably not the high that perhaps is being discussed. There are a range of densities that are identified in the development, and they range from medium, conventional, and some larger allotments around the periphery. And there are some areas for high in what you perhaps would call high within close proximity to the parks and so forth. So overall, we wouldn't be classifying it as high for the whole entire precinct. Yep.
Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other questions, councillors? Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Now, if I could call on Rose de la Cruz, please.
Oh, hi, can you hear me? Because sometimes we can't hear the councillors, I might say. I don't know how that can be improved. Yes, I'm Rose de la Cruz, representing the Moorabool Environment Group. And on page 27, we were just a little bit shocked to read that consideration of submissions and the key themes raised, that in that list of bullet points, the environment was not actually even mentioned. And I don't know if that was just a mistake or what, but because in the attachments over on page 134 there's a whole section on the environment. And we're very pleased to see that the environment has been included in the attachments, but just wonder why it wasn't in the key bullet points in the summary. That's my question.
Yeah, welcome. Mr Bzerd now, please.
No?
Well, just, yeah, give me a chance.
It's not listed in the bullet points.
Give me a chance to have a read.
We'll try and find the page.
Point of order, Mr Mayor.
Yes.
Point of order. I didn't realise speakers could ask questions.
Well, they can.
Or are you allowing that today?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you.
It's wasting your 3 minutes, that's it. But did you have all questions?
Thank you.
Mr Bzerd.
Through you, Mr Chair, we can't capture every detail in the council report, but if you look at all the technical reports, there's comprehensive technical reports relating to the environment, and all of that is covered through the whole amendment process and documentation.
No, thank you. You're right.
Okay, well, it wasn't listed there, but as I say, on page 134 on attachment 2, there are a lot of environmental issues that we are concerned about that have got comments. But I'd just like to ask one more quick question. Page 134, it says environmental management during construction, and there's a response, and it says the environmental impacts during development, such as litter, erosion, sediment and noise. Now, we're very concerned about litter, having worked on with Steve and Moira and many other people on Clean Up Australia Day in Bacchus Marsh. We were really upset and disgusted to see how much litter, polystyrene, plastic and everything else had been left by the construction workers and all blown down into the river. And as we all know, it was pretty terrible. And we hope this will not happen up here at the new development if it goes ahead. So it says here, the DP09 schedule has been updated, see attachment 3. But I don't seem to have attachment 3. Has anybody got attachment 3, or have I just missed out?
Yeah, these are all public question times, but
Well, I don't know where attachment 3 is. I can't find it.
Right, yeah, but the whole idea of this was to present to an item, and we're just doing questions, which is not...
Okay,
but,
all right.
I mean, that's a question we can resolve later if you want to ask a question.
All right.
If you want to get to your presentation, that's all.
Well, it's not... It's really just questions, and we're very
Well, why
pleased
don't we hear all the presentations?
The independent panel,
Yes,
when will that be happening?
I can get a date off you, yes.
A date, that'd be good.
Mr Bzerd now, please. And then we'll go to some other presentations. These questions we can sort out later. This is about presentation to an item. We're accepting the submissions.
Well, we've put in
We're
our
not
submission.
agreeing to them, we're just accepting them.
Yeah, our submission has been put in, as you well know.
And that's the whole idea. The motion tonight is to accept those submissions,
Yes.
and then we respond to them. So, yes, and that's when we can ask a lot of questions. Mr. President, we'll answer that one, but then we'll get back to the presentation after that.
Well, no, our presentation has been submitted, and I'm glad you've seen it and it's in there.
Yes, yes.
I would like to know when the independent panel will be happening.
And
Point
yes,
of order, this is getting into a Q&A session.
it is getting
please.
into a Q&A session. I'm sorry. We will get that back to you, right?
We don't know. Okay.
No, we will. We'll get back to you later. But
All right.
we'll get back to the submissions. Right. Councillor Bingham.
Mr Mayor, can I just add, attachment 3 is on page 137 of the attachment.
137.
Now we're
Because
answering.
I asked for the council to give me a copy today, which they kindly did,
With
but I haven't
respect,
got page
Rose.
137.
With respect, Rose, we've answered that question, even though we shouldn't. have, but
Okay,
yeah.
I'll get page 137.
Yes.
That's all.
Thank you. Okay, now if I could call on Renee Robertson, please.
Okay, good evening, councillors and council officers. I'd like to speak about the proposed 2.5 hectare active recreation reserve with an AFL size oval and associated buildings and car parks. This is in Amendment C108 more. It's a great idea, but a terrible location. According to the master plan concept, this is directly adjacent to the fragile Werribee River corridor and overlaps an area of heritage significance. This map shows 8 contour lines running through the oval. If I conservatively estimate that each contour line is 1 metre high, that means the oval will require an 8 metre cut and infill, which into the slope to make it flat. 8 metres is the equivalent of a 3-storey building. Melbourne Water has identified Precinct 5 as on top of sodic soil. We all know the irreversible environmental disaster to the Werribee River caused by development at Underbank and sodic soil runoff. An oval here is another disaster waiting to happen, not to mention the associated light, noise and rubbish contamination to the river's riparian habitat and wildlife. It baffles me why Council relocated this reserve from the southwestern corner of Precinct 5 to this eastern slope. The panel report to Amendment C88 clearly stated the landowner, Mr Fraser, wanted this recreation reserve to be on the northern part of the Precinct 5, and I quote, to provide an open, grassed landscape. Then Council convinced him to relocate it to the southwestern corner because, and again I quote, it is located a short walk to town, it is located on flat ground which will substantially reduce development costs. This location can provide an attractive entrance into the town and contribute to the low-density treed landscape along the old Melbourne Road interface. And this location can form a separate lot that can be easily subdivided from the surrounding urban growth land. Why has Council again moved it to the most inappropriate location in Precinct 5? It's landlocked, less accessible, and it's on a slope. This needs to be removed from Amendment C108, or at the very least relocated before Council even considers sending C108 to a planning panel. I also want to reinforce all the submissions calling for a secondary school to support the coming population explosion. Land for the school needs to be allocated and prioritised. Precinct 5 is the perfect location for a secondary school. Council should be leveraging the state government's push for housing in Balan to get a secondary school and advocating for current and future Balan residents. This is what you were elected to do. If this doesn't happen before you consider sending this amendment to a planning panel, you've surrendered an opportunity to get a commitment for a school and are lying down and letting the state government and developers call all the shots. Thank you.
Councillors, any questions? Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Renee. Were you aware that probably 2 or 3 months ago we actually moved a motion and wrote to the Minister of Education for schools in Balan?
Thank you. I did see that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Has land been allocated or anything?
No, we're waiting for a response.
Okay. No worries.
Can I continue, Renee, you and Rose and Marcus, and I'm sure the next speaker too, obviously care deeply about your town, and Bland is a beautiful town. And it has unique character. I'll ask the question I asked of Marcus. Were you involved in the consultation and development of the Bland Strategic Directions paper?
I absolutely was,
Yeah,
and
great.
I'm really disappointed to see that a lot of what is in the Strategic Directions Plan is has been disregarded and dismissed in Amendment C108. For example, the large allotments on the coming into town. Apparently, I think it was a 2,000 square metre minimum allotment size all along Daylesford Bland Road and Old Melbourne Road, completely disregarded in C108.
May I continue, please, Mr Mayor? Thanks, Renee. I suppose the idea of developing the Bland Strategic Directions paper and subsequently the amendment that was adopted on the 2nd of October 2019 to apply future residential zones was to ensure that there was appropriate locations consistent with the character of Bland.
Correct.
What some people identify as character, other people will disagree with, but we all want to maintain what is important to us about Bland. So we understand the sensitivities of that, but I suppose I just want to know if you're aware that our Premier identified in February this year that
Yes.
in the Victoria 2051 paper we need to build 2.24 million new homes. Yep. And Mirrabul, you've been told you've got to build 20,000 new homes. And she said, quote unquote, if local councils don't try to meet these targets, they'll lose their planning powers.
Yep.
So what we're trying to do, the challenge for Mirrabul is to balance all those priorities, to look after the environment, protect it, enhance it, and at the same time also meet our growth needs. So we're trying to juggle several priorities.
Yeah.
My question, sorry Mr Mayor, I've taken a while to get to it. My question is, are you not somewhat comforted by the Biodiversity Management Plan, the Wetlands Retarding Basin Management Plan, the development of 2 wetland retention basins, the Integrated Water Management Plan and the Public Open Space and Landscape Master Plans? Do you think they are...
I'm actually not comforted by them because I've seen the submissions by Melbourne Water and also the Department of Environment, and I've seen all of their concerns. So I'm really not confident that Council has done all of its due diligence and will protect the Werribee Basin Corridor, the Werribee River Corridor, sorry. There's a lot of concerns within both of their submissions. I've read them in detail. And I've mentioned the sodic soil that Melbourne Water's identified in Precinct 5. And as I said, this is right on top of the Werribee River Corridor, this flat AFL-sized 2.5 hectare recreation reserve. So how is a basin plan, a retarding basin plan, going to protect contamination from coming from that if you cut in 8 metres?
Fantastic. Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I also read in the documentation, because I've sort of lived and breathed this the last 3 years, that there is obviously an environmental audit overlay being done on that soil. So if I may defer, Mr Mayor, to Mr Bazutnout.
It's a question, of course.
Question? Yes. Can you please go back history? Why was that oval moved? And can you tell us the reasoning? Because I'm struggling to remember why the oval was moved from one original design to now.
Through Mr Mayor, I'll have to go back through the reports. There's a lot of, in the background reports, these locations were informed by a number of factors, including the layout, availability, topography of land. I'll have to go through the background reports to determine exactly why it was relocated. But I can take that on notice.
Take that on notice, Mr President. Yes, Council. Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Berry.
Just have one question, Mr Mayor, of officers. Just listening to Renee speak, where the reserve is, can you tell me what that distance, it's very small on here, I can't read what's in front of it, to the river from where that reserve...
Councillor Solomon, there's a scale down the bottom.
Yeah. I can't read it. Even when I enlarge it, it goes fuzzy.
Moira, do you want me to pass this around?
That's right, I'll wait for the...
Oh, sorry.
We'll take that on notice.
Yeah.
We're taking submissions tonight, so all of those things can be sorted.
Yeah.
So, any other questions, councillors? No, thanks, Renee.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your questions, Councillor Ward and Councillor Berry. I really appreciate it.
Okay, now if I could call on Danielle Enzo. Enzo? Did I pronounce that correctly? No.
Sorry?
Did I pronounce that correctly?
Anzai.
Anzai, thank you.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I believe we are all united in our desire to protect what is good about the Shire and what we can improve on. In regard to Precinct 5, there are 3 areas that need urgent review and consultation for us to be able to enjoy the same quality of life that we have now. 1, the destruction of important environmental habitat in this location. 2, the development is on a floodplain and the enormous surge of stormwater that is expected to happen. And 3, dangerous and untenable traffic congestion. Because of my short time today, I'll just be talking about traffic congestion. In the 3 minutes, according to the traffic assessment in your exploratory report, which was based on South Morang 13 years ago, so it may be out of date as far as in regards to actual traffic data, 2,400 vehicles left and entered an area of 600 dwellings. With us having approximately 900 dwellings in Precinct 5, the projection would be around 3,600 vehicles entering and leaving daily. This is on one single road that feeds into Inglis Street. Precinct 5 is not really in walking distance to the station, schools or preschools. If we have young families, there'll be someone going to work, someone dropping off the kids, likely 2 cars each. And with Ballan's lovely weather, we know that not many people are happy to drag small children on long walks first thing in the morning. This intense level of traffic in a 40-kilometre zone, which Inglis Street is, with shops and other amenities that people need to access, such as pharmacies and medical centre, is untenable. Ballan is fortunate to have the 4 roads leading in and out of town. We've got north, south, east and west. If we have any kind of disaster, flood, bushfire, anything, we have many options to leave town. If we congest our town with 3,600 extra, minimum 3,600 extra vehicles on one road, it is extremely dangerous to be able to expect that people will be able to get or move around town in that time. We are putting people's lives at risk in doing this particular traffic report. Again, all of us realise that, as was brought up before, that everyone is under pressure to build more houses. No one is against building more houses. What we're saying is please, please, please do it properly. Those of you who remember Bacchus Marsh in the old days, remember Grant Street before the housing development and post-housing development, and now it's a nightmare. And I'm sure it's a nightmare for current council members who are trying to deal with all the problems of the congestion on Grant Street. We have an opportunity here to plan and review and make a design where we don't end up with a Grant Street. And to be frank, our Inglis Street will be a lot worse than Bacchus Marsh Grant Street right now, because we are a smaller town and ratio-wise we're inviting more houses and more vehicles onto our streets, and larger vehicles as well. So please take that into account, and please, for the traffic, for the sake of the town, for the sake of people's lives and safety, please, I beg you, please take into account that we can't have a single entry and exit point at this location. Thank you.
Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I seem to be hogging the questions. My question is for Mr Bazoudenhout. I thought there was 3 access points into Inglis Street from Precinct 5, not 1.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll just get to Kate to clarify that.
Well, we might go to another question while we get an answer on that, just in the interest of time.
There's only one.
Do you have another one for Councillor Wood?
No, not at the moment, no.
Okay, any other councillors? Councillor Berry, you've got your light on.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. I thought there was a question. Any other questions while we're waiting for an answer? No? Wait.
Through Mr. Mayor, my interpretation of the plan, there's 3 access points out of the development. So they disperse the traffic not through a single point. And a traffic report would have looked at trip generation, peak trip generation, distribution, and it was referred to Vic Roads and all and internal engineering services as well. But the traffic are distributed through 3 access points.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Councillor Ward.
Yep. So thank you.
The map doesn't show 3 access points, it shows 1. So
Okay.
we're basing our comments,
Excuse
we're
me.
basing our...
Yeah, look, I understand that. You'll get a go. Councillor Ward.
No, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that because if you were under the impression there was 1 access point, that's certainly 3 access points does put a different context on that. I personally love hiking. You wouldn't know it, I'm not that fit, but I love hiking and bike riding. One of the things I really liked about this design was the shared path connection to the town. So I would think that this would encourage physical and economic activity, having people come out of Precinct 5 and into the main street and spend money. You don't see that though, you see that people will be driving.
Oh, yes. Well, you're making this obviously for young families. So on a weekend day, for sure, hiking, leisure activities, absolutely. 8:45 in the morning, getting some children to preschool, getting some children to school, getting yourself to work. Most young families now have both parents working. You've got to get 2 parents and a set of children out of the house to different points, all within the same time frame and all coming home at the same time frame. Schools are all at the same time. They don't get flex time like jobs do. So you're going to be moving a lot of children and a lot of people around at the exact same time in the morning and in the evening.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. One further question. I suppose if I could flip this around and ask you a question in reverse. Keep in mind, Baland has less than 3 years of land left.
Yep.
Precinct 5 has the trunk infrastructure to develop housing. Precinct 6 and 7 don't at this stage. Are you against Precinct 5 or you're against Precinct 5 in its current design?
Ideally, I think Precinct 5 is a bad choice, but as you said, I don't know exactly how far along or what access you have to the other areas. I think Precinct 5 will be an area that in the future council members and future townsfolk will regret and say, I don't know why we did it here, based on the oval, based on the stormwater drain, the fact that it's a floodplain, it's not a flat piece of land, based on the fact that areas over the track have more roads and are more accessible to the station than Precinct 5 is. So Precinct 5 is not a good choice, no. But at the end of the day, if something must go ahead, the current traffic situation in Precinct 5 is absolutely dangerous and untenable. And if there are three exit points, not one person who's gone through the reports with a fine-tooth comb have come to that conclusion. So either it's been intentionally misleading or it's a mistake because there's not 3 access points on any of the data that we've all looked at.
Councillor Bingham, you have a question.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My question's of council officers, planning department. In 2 parts, how many houses are Precinct 5? 900, correct?
You're answering your own question.
Yeah, just clarify me. But we just heard trunk infrastructure was adequate, but did Melbourne Water not make a submission that the current trunk infrastructure only supports an extra 100 houses? So I just want to get some clarification on that.
Mr Bazard.
Through Mr Mayor, is the first question a number of lots. So the number of lots is proposed to be around 930. In terms of the infrastructure, so the amendment was referred to all relevant state agencies, including Central Highlands Water. They looked at what's the capacity in the network to service this development. And the figure that you reference is they look at a rate of development as well. So they say the infrastructure can cater for a certain rate of development per annum. And those are the information they provided. But the confirmation from Central Highlands Water was that this development can be serviced. There would be upgrades required at certain threshold points, and they looked at a rate of development. So that confirmation was provided that this development can be supported from an infrastructure point of view.
Just subsequent, Mr Mayor, just on that, taking into account other developments coming on board, have we got a commitment, an actual commitment, that this trunk infrastructure is actually going to be upgraded? Because we know state government renege on whatever they say.
With respect, Councillor Bigelow, just ask the question. We'll save the commentary.
Mr. Mayor. So the amendment that we've got in front of us is the one that progresses. There are future developments that's also in progress. So Central Highlands Water would look at those developments and they will factor that into the overall network capacity. They'll look at what points, what triggers will be require upgrades to not only the immediate network but also the processing plant. So those future upgrades will form part of the future planning outcomes that. But at this point in time, they've assessed Precinct 5 and they've confirmed there's adequate capacity and upgrades that's needed can cater for future delivery of Precinct 5. The future developments to the south will require future planning and updates as well.
In future, Councillor, could you turn your microphone on?
It wasn't.
Was it? Okay, thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Just a question. If this goes to a planning panel, will the planning panel have access to each and every submission made to council during the public exhibition period?
Question is to Mr.
Through the chair
Turnhout.
to the officers.
Yes.
Sorry, mate.
Can we excuse the presenter? Thank you.
Thank you.
You got another question? Thank you, Councillor Ward.
You don't get off that. No, thank you. Look, I just went through the
Can we
notes.
answer this question first?
Yeah.
With respect to Councillor Ward, we're still waiting for that.
Sorry.
I was just guessing. Councillor Mazurtown.
You want to answer that? Thank you, Mr.
Oh,
Mayor.
sorry, Kate. It's Kate doing this.
Through the chair, all submissions received, including those ones that did come in after the closing date, but however, those submissions have been received also. They may not quite have been captured for the purposes of this report tonight, but all of those will be referred to the planning panel to consider.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Ward.
I suppose this was just more for to assist Danielle. In the documentation that's available tonight, page 122 refers to the road layout, 3 access points, and explains where they'll be exiting and entering from.
This is the report from tonight.
And it talks about, as mentioned earlier on another topic, Council's recognising the need to prepare a Balan integrated transport strategy to facilitate the long-term urban growth project in Balan. It talks about road and intersection upgrades and everything else.
With
I'm sorry,
respect,
you
we've
said the
got
report
way off
tonight.
track
Were we
here.
given
This
that
is supposed to be questions to the presenter. So,
I'm sorry, could you
Yeah,
show
I'm
me?
sorry,
I
too.
don't have that report. Could you show me that
Point of
report?
order, Mr Mayor.
yes, look,
Sorry, what was that? Did you say
I'll ask the councillors, will we have a presenter? We're here to ask some questions. We're not here to make statements, and we're certainly not here to give answers. So, with respect...
Oh, no, that's okay. You just said the report you were given tonight, so I just...
I
I'd
know,
missed it.
I'm talking to the councillors about
Oh, sorry,
their
okay.
responsibilities. But thank you anyway.
Thank you.
Good on you. Right, now if I could call on Simon McLennan from Welco.
All right, good evening, Mr Mayor, councillors, council staff. Thank you for having me here tonight. My name's Simon McLennan. I'm the National Head of Development at Welco. I'm just here to talk in favour of the application tonight. Firstly, I'd just like to thank the council for helping us on this journey to bring this project together to this point. It's a very exciting project for us. We're committed to helping to unlock land supply in Balan, in particular in this precinct, through a considered design, through a considered development, balancing the environment, balancing transport and infrastructure requirements. And I guess really we just committed to helping to grow the town. I guess that's really what I wanted to say tonight, is just thank you for your time and efforts to date, particularly the council staff. We've got a journey in front of us to help unpack this site, but to date we're very appreciative of the time and effort of council, so thank you.
Councillors, any questions? Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr McLean. Thank you for coming along this evening. It has been raised, there's 930 lots that the overall proposal at this juncture. What would be your estimate of the staging and when would that what year would you anticipate 930 lots being achieved? You know, minimum and maximum, what would be that, the number of years before that would be achieved in your estimation?
Well, as you'll appreciate, developments do take time. I guess we're looking, once we get through the planning process, to commence our development. I would like to think we'll be able to move as quickly as we can. That's going to be related back to the market. How long's a piece of string? I mean, it's a long-term project for us. It's probably a 10-year project for us to work our way through it. We'd like to move as quickly as we can to open up the land supply, to provide housing choice and opportunity. It really will be dictated by how quick the market goes.
So would it be fair to say that optimistically you wouldn't reach 930 within 10 years, probably more like 15?
Well, I guess our models would suggest somewhere between probably 8 and 15 years, depending on the speed of the market. Not all 900 lots will be developed in stage one.
Councillor Bingham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In relation to my question that I asked the Planning Department, probably relevant to ask you the same, but just in terms of that trunk infrastructure, I'd just like to know in your discussion, if you've had discussions with Central Highlands Water, if there's any agreement in place, or what are the trigger points? How many lots, for instance, do you need to sell before you need to upgrade that trunk infrastructure that I was just referring to?
Sure. So yes, we are in discussion with the relevant authorities. There are a number of triggers that will apply to the development. As part of our development, we'll be progressively upgrading infrastructure. A works agreement will be entered into between ourselves and the agency. That'll determine lot take-up, the types of infrastructure that are required. It will not only serve our site, it will provide capacity for the future of the town as well. I don't have the detail of that at this stage because that agreement hasn't been entered into.
Yeah, just subsequent to that, eventually, when you upgrade that trunk infrastructure, are you seeking a partnership with state government, or is the developer going to bear the full cost to the upgrading of?
Typically, the developer front ends a lot of that work, a lot of that infrastructure. In order to get new titles, we're required to connect to essential services. There will be some upgrades required on our behalf. There will be upgrades that the state will do. That agreement that we enter into will specify who does what, and ultimately, if there's a recoup of costs, that will be dealt with between ourselves and the agency.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? No? Right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just reiterate to councillors, this is a consideration of submissions for the planning scheme amendment C108 for Bland Precinct 5. So there'll be plenty of discussion after, but I just want to reiterate that's what we're here to. The recommendation is Councillor Sullivan.
Mayor, I think it's a bit more than that. It's actually that we recommend it goes to an independent panel.
Yes, that's a consideration we're asking. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. We've got someone to move the recommendation. Councillor Ward, do we have a seconder? Councillor Sullivan. Is there any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Yeah, if the gallery wants to leave, that's, I know how riveting this is, but if you'd like to leave, we can give you a couple of minutes to get out. No? Okay.
What's that, mate?
So I'll just say that again, 13.1, the Public Art and Collections Advisory Committee nominations. Councillor Berry, do you have a question? No. You want to move? Thank you, Councillor Berry. Councillor Sullivan? Second, thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Right, we'll move on to Customer and Corporate Services reports. Item 14.1, Draft Council Plan 25 to 29, Community Consultation. There's a recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Minari. Moved. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Keogh. Any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. We'll move on to 14.2, Audit and Risk Advisory Committee Independent Chair Half-Yearly Report 24-25, moved by Councillor Berry. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Keogh. Any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Righto, we're moving to Community Assets and Infrastructure Reports. The first one being 15.1, Draft Road Management Plan 25 to 29. There's a recommendation.
I'll move the recommendation with a couple of questions.
Yes, yes.
I know this is to receive the report. On the attachment that we have in the hard copies is very will this small print actually go and be part of it? It's so hard to read. You need a microscope. So I'm thinking, will the one that goes out there for the public to review, will it be significantly larger than this? Okay. The second question, if I may. Yeah, I had a bit of a... in the document, it refers to most of the roads in the road type as public road. I won't elaborate, but I was at something at the weekend where the status of roads was actually a big consideration for about a long time. So something to consider going forward. Should we actually note what the status of the road is? Now, some people may not think that's very important, but the status of a road, is it a government road? Is it a road that vests in council? Is it an NUA road? So these things are important for a whole lot of reasons. So I think, not to hold this up, it's something we do need to consider in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take this as a statement. Right, where were we? Seconded. Any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. That was Councillor Sullivan that moved it, I think, yes? Yes. Yes. Right, we'll move on to 15.2, Draft Asset Plan 25 to 35. Councillors.
Happy to move it, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. Thank you, Councillor Berry.
Second.
Seconded. Any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Righto. Where are we up to? 15.3, we've done that. So notices of motion, have we? Oh, we haven't done 15.3. Draft Asset Management Policy. Councillors, sorry. Councillor Ward moved. Councillor Sullivan seconded. Any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Yeah, we have. There we go. Right, we'll move on to 17.1, which is a notice of motion number 327, flooding issues, Lakecourt, Walsh Street and Ingliston Road. And that's up to, do you want to do a preamble there, Councillor Taylor?
Well, I'll go straight into the motion.
Thank you.
I request that the Council writes to Melbourne Water requesting a detailed account of actions taken to date addressing flooding issues in Lakecourt, Walsh Street and Ingliston Road, Balan. B, information on future measures planned to rectify these issues. C, Melbourne Water to host a community forum to discuss residents' concerns and provide updates. 2, officers bring back a report to Council on the issues once responses are received from Melbourne Water. The rationale behind it, obviously ongoing flooding issues over a long period of time in streets of Lakecourt, Walsh Street and Ingliston Road, Balan are causing stress and anger within the community. I ask for a report and that Council write to the relevant water authorities for an update on what actions have been taken to now and what will be done in the future to improve issues residents are currently facing. I ask that the report come back to Council and that Melbourne Water hold a community forum with affected residents.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. We'll call that as moved. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Minari, is there any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. So we'll move on to 17.2, notice of motion, subsidised waste services. I think is that Councillor Freeman's or is that yours? No, Councillor Taylor's.
So basically, my motion is that the officers prepare a report to Council on viable future options for subsidised waste services. The rationale: with the recent conclusion of the trial period for subsidised waste management measures, I would like to explore more permanent solutions moving forward. I request that an officer's report be presented to Council outlining potential options for continuing subsidised waste services in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Moved by Councillor Taylor. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Is there any dissent? There is dissent. We'll start a debate. If I could start with you, please, Councillor Taylor.
So basically, this is just asking for a report. The first thing to start with, a lot of residents and basically have basically come in contact with various councillors in this room, basically asking for various things like tip passes. As the motion comes with Councillor Freeman next, picking up curbside pickups and etc. Obviously, currently we've had the 1 cubic metre, we've had half-price mattress, and we've obviously had the green waste. Personally, I think that really, if you look at it as in a bigger picture stuff, environmentally, if we don't do something at all, we'll be in a situation where it could completely get out of hand. And basically, as I say, we're here to do what the residents are asking, and basically this is what they want.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Sullivan, please.
It's not dissimilar to a motion that was rejected some time ago. It's sort of on the same very strong theme. So I guess that's one of the reasons that I would oppose it. I think it's non-specific. It's sort of vague. I mean, it just talks about subsidised waste services. Well, in what area? I mean, is it sort of in relation to garbage pickup? Is it street sweeping? Is it collecting stuff out of the parks? There's a whole lot of things, and I sort of feel that it would be a task that it's a Herculean task, basically, our officers would be asked to do, to cover all the... It's not very specific in what it's asking for. And I think as a result of that, I think that the officers would be very hard-pressed to actually fulfil what that's requiring. So in that sense, I just couldn't support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Councillor Kerr.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Turn your light on, please, Councillor Kerr.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I look forward to seeing a report that's far-reaching, so as with all the information on it, I can get a better handle on what we should do in the future to try and eradicate our problem that we've got with rubbish scattered from one end of the Shire to the other.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Anyone else for or against? Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I want to speak in favour of the notice of motion. The growing dumping of waste and littering is becoming a real concern. You only had to watch the news this week about the car bodies being pulled out of the Melton Weir. So I actually like the fact that it's open-ended, Mr Mayor. I like the fact that it's basically saying, give us the options to consider, because what other councils may be doing. I'm aware of councils that offer a free day a year to go to the transfer station or tip, as it used to be called, or a free day every 6 months. The fact that we're asking officers to come back and say, hey, give us the options that may be available, and the cost of each of these options will have information to make a considered decision. So I actually like the fact that it's an open-ended. Well done, Steve.
Please, Councillor Ward. Any other councillors for or against to speak? Councillor Berry?
I'd like to speak for, but I do see that it is open-ended and we'll be giving officers a lot of work. But would you consider, Steve, adding some points in there saying perhaps something like what other councils are doing, that they can have something to go by?
I think this is a debate. It's not really a question. And generally, if we're halfway through a debate, it's be incredibly difficult to amend.
Okay.
If you want to foreshadow if there's not to get up, would you like to foreshadow? Yes. Yes, all right, thank you. Right. Have you got anything else on the debate though, Councillor Berry? No, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak for or against? I'll get you to close the debate.
Yeah, so basically within this report, obviously, notice of motion, obviously the broadness of it is basically if there were councillors out there, as Councillor Sheila Freeman is doing next, if there is a suggestion of what you think is an option going forward, I'm pretty sure that, you know, it would be more than an option to put that forward. As I say, within it, we have to do something. What it will be, we'll get the report back and then obviously we'll be able to work on it from there. The broadness of it is there's so many options and basically it comes down to costs, what we can afford. You know, most people, when you look at it, they want tip passes, they want hard rubbish collections. What's it going to cost, where we're at? And that's basically why I've left it broad and that's pretty much where it stands.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. I have to say this is the first time in all these years I've seen a mixed motion that actually blends into another one, e-motion. So, but anyhow, thank you, Councillor Taylor. Anyway, those in favour? The motion's passed. It's 5. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the second mixed motion. 17.3, notice of motion number 329, investigation into curbside collection of hard rubbish from residents' homes. Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, the motion is that Council requests officers to prepare a report estimating the cost of engaging a contractor to collect up to 1 square metre of hard rubbish directly from residents' homes once per household for a 1-month collection period annually. That's the motion.
Councillor Sullivan. A question?
No, I just think it should be 1 cubic metre, not 1 square metre. If you want to get into...
I'm not very good on squares and cubes.
Sorry.
I'm happy to amend that to a...
No, I just think it's probably... Anyway, just...
No, 3 by 3 by 3? Yeah.
Love it.
My apologies.
Thanks, Councillor Freeman. Righto, we've moved by Councillor Freeman. Do we have a seconder? I think the light's on there. Sorry. Yeah, question. I'll take the question first, please.
Thank you. My question is for Councillor Freeman.
Yeah, in relation to
just want to clarify, is this... Are you proposing for this to be Shire-wide?
Yes.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay, that's right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Now, Councillor Taylor, did you want to second that? Is that right? Was that the light on? Yep. Okay.
Sorry, I did have it.
Thank you. Councillor Berry, you had a question?
Yeah, just a question
Yes.
to officers.
Right.
I understand, can you just let me know, rough estimate, how many streets we have that are not accessible by trucks, and also flats and things that they've only got one small nature strip, some of them haven't got? I personally don't have a nature strip. If I was going to put cubic metre of rubbish out on the...
By nature, this is a report, so that may be taken on notice to be put into the body of the report, should it get up, because I think that'd be a really difficult question to ask.
Yeah, I was just looking for rough, because in my head I've driven past streets.
Yeah,
and
my own road you can't get
Yeah.
rubbish collections.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. But we'll consider that on notice if should it get up. So where are we? We've moved, we're seconded. Is there any dissent? There's dissent, so we'll go to a debate. Councillor Freeman, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Right. The rationale of it is many residents, particularly the aged and residents with disabilities, lack the means to transport hard rubbish to a transfer station or be able to afford to access paid collection services. A limited scheduled collection service could improve local amenity, reduce illegal dumping and support waste management goals. This initiative would explore the feasibility and financial implications of providing a convenient, community-wide hard rubbish collection service. By limiting the volume to 1 cubic metre per household and restricting the collection period to 1 month per year, the aim is to provide support for responsible waste disposal while managing budgetary impacts and operational logistics. Understanding the cost implications is the first step in assessing the viability of such a program.
Thank you, Councillor Freeman. Councillor Bingham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The reason why I object to this is not because I'm against curbside collection. I certainly did just support Councillor Venditti's motion, but the reason why I'm objecting is because Councillor Venditti mentioned that in his report they were going to look at curbside collection. So I was just didn't really want to double up the workload, but that's why I'm objecting, because Venditti's already raised that.
Councillor Venditti, Taylor. Yes.
Councillor, I apologise.
Don't be Jared, I don't take offence, mate.
Okay. Councillor Taylor, you were the second.
Yeah, so basically, as we say, it's not a matter of doubling up. It's basically Councillor Freeman has asked for a specific part of what my motion is. Obviously, we're favouring the elderly and obviously speaking to a lot of people as well. They're massively in favour of this. I know from a fact of speaking to a lot of people, they don't have access to trailers and everything else that goes with it. So something like this would be viable for the vulnerable, the elderly, the people that are restricted, and basically when it comes down to it, in my point of view, we need to offer something. Obviously, the long-term environmental factors of not offering anything more, and especially with the fact that financially we do have issues across the board, I don't think long-term it would be a great way forward.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else wish to speak for or against? A question, Councillor Sullivan?
So, through you, Mr Mayor, so the intent will actually determine benchmarking against illegal dumping as well? So it will be broad brush enough to determine whether in fact there is any change in behaviour, because I think that's important, because it has to consider that as well.
I suppose that question would go to your intent of the report, Councillor Freeman.
Yes.
Yes, there you go. Well, it was difficult to ask that of an officer because we haven't even got it there yet. So. But anyhow, we're working forward. Anyone else wish? Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I commend Councillor Freeman on putting this forward. Look, I think any exercise where we're gathering information to make a considered decision is commendable. So again, as with Councillor Venditti-Taylor's notice of motion, the fact that we're collating data so we can sit back and look at the raw numbers and what services could and couldn't be provided and at what cost they will become, and then we can measure the benefits, is doing our due diligence, and I think that's commendable. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. Anyone else wish to speak for or against? Councillor Cowart. Give the button a bit of a hit there.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think we need to be sure that by providing these sort of collections, it is not going to stop illegal dumping of rubbish.
This is about a report, Councillor Cowart.
Yeah.
Yes.
But by these reports, yes, and if we followed any of them and accepted them, I don't think for 1 minute that will stop illegal dumping of rubbish. We're mixing two modes. You know, we've got the rubbish that people want to get rid of and illegal rubbish dumping. They're different.
I think we mixed two motions there as well. Thank you, Councillor Cowart. Anyone else wish to speak for or against? No? Close the debate, please, Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This motion is to obtain costings of a curbside collection. As I've said in my rationale, there are many residents, particularly the aged and residents with disabilities, that for many reasons are unable to get hard rubbish to transfer stations. This, as I've said, could be because they don't have a trailer, a car, the car is too small, or they just can't physically get the rubbish to the tip. We must remember that we represent the whole of the Shire, and I believe this service would be a benefit to not only Bacchus Marsh, Darley and Madingley, but right across the Shire from Navigators to Comida and from Bacchus Marsh right up to Bullato South. I remind you that Moorabool Shire strictly prohibits burning household rubbish, and it is illegal to dump, and as has been mentioned, it's not going to stop all the illegal dumping, unfortunately, but hopefully this service will assist in some of these areas. I believe in being open and transparent, and if this service is successful, I would want the residents to know of any cost of this service that may be added onto their rates notice. But in
with
saying...
respect, Councillor Freeman, this is about a report.
Yeah, I know, but I had to put that...
Yeah, no, you got it right
Yes,
there. You've got
I
to be a bit in.
Yeah. But in saying that, this is a motion to get an understanding of the cost implications and is the first step in assessing the viability of such a program. This will include benchmarking against similar programs in comparable municipalities. I therefore commend this notice of motion to Council.
Thank you, Councillor. Now, those in favour, please. I passed. Convincingly in the end, so there you go. Righto, notice the rescission nil. Could someone move the Mayor's report, please? Councillor Sullivan, Councillor Bingham, those in favour, so carried. And we'll move into Councillor reports, and if I could start with you, please. Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a couple of things to report to Council. On Thursday, the 17th of April, I attended an online meeting of Timber Towns Victoria. Just to advise that there's going to be a review of the tyre study, which I believe we need to ensure that we revisit and reassess the roads and infrastructure in Moorabool Shire that could be included and those that are currently included in the tyre study. For those that are not familiar with, tyres is a high-level strategic document that is to do with road infrastructure, and it stands for Timber Industry Roads Evaluation Study. It's a document that's used by government and Vic Roads for strategic roads. So it's an important document. I think we need to get on the front foot and make sure that we have all our roads considered and assessed, because over the journey, as you well know, we've had hundreds of thousands of dollars come through that program, so it's a very good investment. On Anzac Day, the 25th of April, I laid a wreath at the Lalal War Memorial at Lalal on behalf of Council. They didn't have a function because of roadworks and what have you, but I still laid a wreath on behalf of Council. And later in the afternoon, along with the Mayor, Councillor Tatchell, Councillor Minari and Councillor Verditi Taylor, I attended the memorial service in Balan in the afternoon. Thank you.
Just a quick question. I know we were there when we opened Lalal, the memorial, an update on how it's all going down there from when it was opened.
Well, it's going very well. They last year they added the Vietnam veterans section as well, which is really fantastic. It's just because of the roadworks that have been carried out in that proximity. Also, there are termites in the hall, so that were unable to have the function of the hall where they usually do, so they decided to, in this year, to not have the event, but will continue next year. Thank you.
I was at work day when that opened. I think we got saturated that day too. So they're a common theme. Councillor Kerr.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Since the last council meeting, I've attended all the weekly briefing meetings. I've also attended the Blacksmith's Cottage monthly meeting, and on Anzac Day I attended the Bacchus Marsh dawn ceremony.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor.
I obviously over Easter I was a volunteer at the Bacchus Marsh Easter Fest. Fantastic event. Plenty of food trucks and obviously the Easter eggs for the kids. It's a sensational day. Really well done by Dottie and her organising crew. On this Saturday, I was a special guest and my family as well at Blackwood, the woodshop in Easter Carnival. I was a special guest judge. Once again, just absolutely sensational what they do at Blackwood, and I really appreciate the way, since I've been a councillor, what they do for my family, and they make you feel so welcoming every time that you're there. When it comes to Anzac Day, obviously I laid the wreath at the Blackwood Dawn service. From there, I went to the march at Bacchus Marsh. I went to Comaida, and I commend Councillor Freeman for a speech during that as well. And then obviously I went to the Balan March after that, so it was a pretty busy day. On Sunday, I went to the BMX Racing State Series. Absolutely carnage, the amount of falls and you know, the bravery that they have to get up and keep going. You know, they've obviously got older age groups where the parents get in there and involved. They've got 40 to 45, 40 to 49, 44 to 49, and obviously for 50 to 59. I don't think I'll be dusting off a mongoose anytime soon and hurtling down the track. I tell you what, I wouldn't survive that. But even speaking to one of the parents there and telling about his story where he had a fall and he got back up and, you know, the fear that he has of doing it again, it's just, you know, if you do get the experience, I know in September they've got a series, another event going on. It was a really good day, and I've really never really seen so many cars and people at an event at the racecourse. So really sensational day, and they basically, it took them 3 months to get that track ready. So I really commend them on that, and obviously it all adds to Bacchus Marsh and what we have to offer. So well done.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Just for a question, what's a mongoose?
When I was actually younger, a mongoose is a BMX, so probably Rod would be all over that. I don't think I'm going to get it out of the garage and dust it off anytime soon, but it was, as a kid, it was probably the most desirable Christmas gift. So
I'd pay to see you sit on a mongoose. Anyhow, Councillor Benari.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I will just add to that with the BMX State Championship, because the last few days I probably regretted taking my 14-year-old, because now I might be a BMX mum, but anyway.
That's a boy a mongoose.
But it was a very impressive day, and just seeing how it all came about and the passionate volunteers in that club was very impressive. I just also wanted to highlight, obviously, Anzac Day and how we are all very busy on that day, spreading ourselves thin and getting to as many services as we can. And I decided this year that I wanted to join the Murnyon community in their service, dawn service, and it was wonderful to see such a huge crowd at the Murnyon dawn service. So well done to them, and well done to all the groups that put on a wonderful day. And obviously we welcomed the rain on that day, even though we all got quite saturated, but we weren't whinging, were we? Thank you.
It's a small sacrifice. Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just following the urgent business I put forward in March, it was wonderful to see last Friday's Mirrabul News, where the hospital services and staff are safe. I believe there could be more issues, which I've heard about, which I will try and follow up. But I would sincerely like to thank the resident that popped the 2 documents into my letterbox that showed the proposed cuts of staff to our hospital. Just to let residents know, my letterbox is always open. On the 8th of April, I had the pleasure of attending the official opening of the community multi-purpose hub at Navigators, and I congratulate all those involved. It's a credit to them and a fantastic addition to Navigators, and thank you to all those that supplied the sumptuous afternoon tea. On the 15th of April, I once again attended one of the health and wellbeing workshops. This was attended by representatives from different agencies. To name a few, there was Catholic Care, Department of Justice and Mekaware. This workshop was looking at issues within our community and how outcomes can be achieved. This could be by looking outside the box. And I sincerely thank Lee and her team, particularly Rona and Nicole. I say thank you. It was well done. Thank you, Lee. On the 22nd of April, I attended the Bacchus Marsh Racecourse Recreation Reserve for the official opening of the cricket nets. I'm sorry I don't play cricket though. This was followed by the funding announcement of the AFL Cricket Oval and Dog Park funding by the Honourable Michaela Settle. As everyone else, on Anzac Day, it's always a busy day, and on behalf of Council, I and other councillors attended the dawn service at Bacchus Marsh. The number of residents attending is growing every year. I know last year it was 5,000 plus, so I presume it was more this year. I then went on to the community radio and spoke about the vast amount of military history within Moorabool Shire, particularly the Darley Army Camp and the hospital that was set up in World War II. I thank the RSL and the tremendous effort of the SES for the gunfire breakfast. This was followed by the RSL march from the hospital to the village green. We were led by the president of the RSL, Alf Hawken, and the pipes and the drums. Those veterans that could not march were driven by members of the Holden Car Club, which was a great benefit for those that can no longer march. I, with fellow councillors, then went on to Comida, and as a veteran I participated in the service. I sincerely thank Ken MacDonald and his committee for conducting the service and the light lunch served. The children from Comida Primary School attend every year and lay a wreath, and I always find it very moving to see the respect these children actually show on the day, and I sincerely say thank you to them. My last bit, on the 5th of May, Monday, I attended the Moorabool Health and Wellbeing Advisory Committee meeting where we looked at the issues raised that were mentioned in the workshops, such as social housing, food security, understanding community needs and how to identify the gaps, and most importantly, mapping of services provided within the Moorabool Shire. This will be brought to Council at a later date and is very much watch this space. Once again, thank you to Lee, Rona and Nicole. It was a great meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Berry.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. On the 7th of April, I attended the opening of the Dunsdown Pavilion upgrade. I think it's the best actual clubroom size room that I've ever seen in a football club. The floor's lovely wood polished. Be an amazing place for weddings and so forth. I could just see that in the Dunsdown Pavilion upgrade. On the 8th of April, I attended the opening of Navigators Community Multi-Purpose Hub, and I must say, came away from there, it's just absolutely amazing that what they've built there, and it's in keeping with the other building that is there, the little church, I believe, and the community there are just also friendly, and they're just so excited with their new build. On the 22nd of April, I attended the official opening of the Bacchus Marsh Racecourse Recreation Reserve, cricket nets and AFL cricket oval opening, as well as the announcement of funding for the dog park. And I believe that Councillor David, well, he's not a councillor anymore, but when he was a councillor, David Edwards really pushed for that dog park. So I sent him a message, but he'd be excited for that to be coming into play. I also attended with Councillor Keogh the Blacksmiths Cottage and Forge Community Asset Committee this month. On Anzac Day, was proud to attend the dawn service at Bacchus Marsh, and I believe there was about 4,000 that attended. They come out in, I was told a figure, I don't know, I didn't count the people, but it's very well supported by the community of Bacchus Marsh. Bacchus Marsh RSL's dawn service, approximately the 4,000 is always well attended. So Bacchus Marsh RSL's 10 a.m. march from the hospital to the RSL. It's quite moving to see some of the attendants there in wheelchairs, and some people who want to give up their walking stick to walk to show their concerns for all those people who have fought and that have died and are still alive. Then the Comida Anzac Day service at 12 noon, and along with those school children who attend all the time, I think Moira Ross, who's the principal at the Comida Primary School, brings them all out in uniform. They make their own wreaths. It's fantastic. There was also an extra group there this time, which was a bikie gang who visited last year, saw the service was on, and the president went down to mention they could come up. So they made they were from Melbourne, they made a special trip up this time to attend the Comida's RSL 12 noon service. On the weekend, I also attended the BMX state event. I must say it's a very windy hill up there. We were nearly blown off it, and I don't know. There's people do come from all across Victoria, so as far as Mildura, Warrnambool, near and far, there was caravans there that people are just pulling up and staying overnight, because they did mention to me that there's not enough accommodation in our town. So that's my report. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. We might call it a motorcycle club instead of a biking gang.
Well, they called themselves. I went over and spoke to them, and they were lovely.
Well, just to help the process.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, Councillor Bingham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Like my fellow councillors, I attended numerous events at Anzac Day, Backs Marsh dawn service, the March and Backs Marsh, and then on to Kamida. And I've got to say, and I think I say it every year, or that my previous term, that it does grow every year, and it's genuinely great to see that the Anzac spirit will never die. And it will carry on until the end of times, until the sun expands into whatever. I just want to say on the weekend, obviously we had an election, and I'd just like to say congratulations to Sam Ray if he bothers to if he is watching. It is such a great honour to be elected into any tier of government. So congratulations to Sam. Now, we can get on with it, and I think we're all pretty excited about the swimming pool. And there was a promise of $25 million for the swimming pool, the $1.1 billion for 4 lanes of the freeway, and also $1.5 million CCTV across Hawke. So I'm very much looking forward to these projects happening in Wirral.
So, and I thank my stars every day that we got you on council. It's just, as an elected representative. Thank you, Councillor Bingham. Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Nothing really to report. I've been doing similar events to everyone else, but obviously I was troubled to see of the copper theft at Balan Recreation Reserve. So if you'd indulge me, I would just like an update on where we're at with the repairs and how long that may take. Who do we go to? Is that best for you, Phil? Or?
I'm happy to take it, Mr Mayor. So there's a generator's been placed on site so the facility can operate, so that'll be up and running this week, and then the copper repairs likely over the next 2 weeks to be completed, subject to Powercor commissioning the work and powering up the site.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. I'd just also like to thank the Balan CFA, because we've got the reserve closed and they opened it up and they put on a breakfast there on Anzac Day, which was fantastic, really great effort. And it was good to see all the volunteers that jumping beyond the barbecues, and so it's been fantastic. So
I'll move the councillor reports we received.
Thank you, I'd just like to mention just quickly the Mount Edgerton memorial that they're working on, and if you're out and about, just give them a plug. I mean, I think it's a great incentive, and it's great that we have the volunteers. We're out there trying to raise a few bucks to get it up and running. So, I mean, we've done a lot over the years, haven't we, Councillor Sullivan, with these smaller groups. I remember we opened Navigo. I think they're really important, and I think we'll work towards the Blackwood one as well. So, anyhow, but thank you, Councillor Sullivan. We can move that. And a seconder, please. Councillor Berry, those in favour? So carried. Righto. So we'll move on to urgent business. Councillor Sullivan.
I have a question that the CEO can take it on notice. We've had a significant amount of notices of motions recently. What amount of time do these take? You can take it on notice? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kerr. Thank you, Councillor. It's urgent business. Thank you, Councillor.
No urgent business.
Thank you. Councillor Mallory.
No urgent business, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Freeman.
No urgent business, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Berry.
No urgent business. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Negative on the urgent business, Mr Mayor.
Got the grabber working. And Councillor Ward.
No, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. That's about all for us tonight. So we'll close the meeting at 7:20, whatever that is, 9. Thank you for your attendance.